Hey everybody, I'm just sitting down here. I just had a couple things I wanted to talk about. I had some thoughts on my mind. Um, I am clothed, by the way, but this is late at night, so I'm just sat down to record this. I'm sitting on the floor, so there's no notes or anything. It's serious. Um, I've been thinking a lot the last week or so, um, because I've been struggling with my discipline. You know, um, and discipline in the last 3 years where I really feel like I've started to become an adult when I started to learn discipline um, back in December of 2021. Um, that month in my life where I really started to apply some discipline, that's when I really feel like I became an adult. Um, so when I measure myself on things, I often think about the last 3 years. And I had a scary thought today, and the thought was I ever even good at all? Was there ever a time when I was half decent, where I was disciplined and put together? Because um, I've been struggling the last couple weeks with my discipline. I feel like I've let a lot of things get away from me. Um, I feel like I'm not the man I should be. I feel like I've fallen short in many domains, and I feel like I'm not where I ought to be and where I could be. Um, I feel like I've held myself back, um, and it's got me thinking here in the last couple weeks. I've really struggled with my discipline, and I had a scary thought. That what if I was never good at all? Because often I think back, it's like, oh man, you let yourself go here. Like you were really put together and had it all ready to go. And the thought struck me of like, what if I never had it together? That's unnerving to me, um, because I've based a lot of my motivations and things on this period of my life when I was like when I just turned 17, late 16, 17, um, when I was really putting on the discipline heavy and I was really transforming myself and becoming a new man and becoming really embracing a new identity. And most of that was through physical work, exercise and training. Um, but a lot of it was mental as well. A lot of it was spiritual. I started reading again. I started really advancing and disciplining myself in all areas of my life. If you follow me at all, I've talked about this before, um, especially in my video where I talked about discipline. Um, but it just got me thinking, like, what if I was never really all that driven? Because I have a lot of things on my plate right now. Um, this is a little on the personal end, obviously, but I've just been struggling with, you know, I'm a full-time student. I have two jobs. I'm starting a third job next week. They're all part-time, but still. Um, I make these YouTube videos. I'm reading. I'm training. I'm training in kickboxing as well. And those are all good things, but it it's taken its toll on me, and I feel like I'm not where I should be or could be in any of those domains, really. Um, and it's just scary to think about that, about what if I was never really put together in the first place? Have I been living a lie in a sense? Have I been what's the right word I'm looking for? Have I been fabricating a myth of myself, about myself, to myself, um, as a gold standard? But was that ever really even there? Because I don't know that it was. But as I've been thinking about it, I think the right way to think about that is that I was probably always, falling short. And I mean, I know in general I've fallen short always, like, yeah, duh. But even in what I mean is that even in that period of discipline and drive when I was like 17, um, I was also probably falling short. Um, in fact, I know I was because I was reading some of my old journal entries from that time, and I know for a fact that I was falling short then. So it's good to understand that, and I think we have to be cautious about how we are viewing our past, and we have to be careful about idealizing our past and expecting too much from ourselves. Um, I tilt more towards the conscientious end of things, like personality wise. I want things to get done. I want to always be better. I want to hold myself to a higher standard, and that's all fine and dandy. Um, but that also has to be integrated with an understanding of yourself and being real with yourself and um, honest about where you really are. There has to be accompanied with a sense of humility. Um, we have to be reasonable with ourselves, because it's so hard for me because I can see when I'm falling short of where I know I should be, and I have to sometimes just let that go and say, "Yep, I fell short of the standard a little bit today," um, and that's okay. And you have to be honest with yourself. Is that that's the kind of man that I am. I fall short sometimes, um, and that's okay. You've been forgiven, and that's okay. I don't know. I guess I'm off on a little bit of a tangent here. I just wanted to get these thoughts out there. It's been a few months since I've recorded any videos like this, and I just wanted to get my thoughts out before I went to bed here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to sleep, I don't think. Um, was I ever perfect? Was I ever put together? Nope, and that's okay. I have to be honest with myself in growth. I have to be honest with myself in the ways that I've grown. Because in reality, if you took me today and you took me 2 to 3 years ago and sat us down together, the reality is that I would have grown. I've grown in so many ways, and it's just, I think it's hard for me to acknowledge that, being willing to say, yeah, I actually have grown. I've actually done good things. Partially because it's been over like a fair period of time here, 2, 3 years. A lot of the little elements of growth and little experiences here and there and little bits of knowledge and wisdom that you've gleaned throughout that time, you don't think of those things as how you're growing. You just want to look. Hey, Skip, what's up, buddy? um, we don't want to look at it that way. We just want to look at those big moments, those big experiences. Sorry, Skip. But yeah. So, I think I need to do a better job at that, at being willing to celebrate my accomplishments and celebrate the ways in which I've grown. Because I'm not very good at that. I hold myself to a standard of excellence, and then anything that falls even a little bit short of that, it's unacceptable. And even when I do achieve those levels of excellence, that's like the bare minimum. and I need to be willing to maybe lower my standards a little bit. And that's hard because that takes humility. You have to be honest with yourself and say, no, I'm not excellent all the time. That's not an appropriate standard for myself. And that hurts. That's hard to do. So maybe it's just my own pride. Maybe that's maybe that's what's been eating at me here. Anyway, that's all I have to say, I guess. I just wanted to get some of my thoughts out here before I went to bed. This is probably a little bit rambly. I'll watch it over before I post it, and if it's garbage, then I won't post it. But whatever. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great week. Sorry I didn't get a video up the other week. I was sick this past week, so I couldn't be bothered to record or do a whole lot of anything. So hope you all have a good week, and I'll see you next Saturday.